Today, we're going to talk about why I think the Packers are proving they're going to win the division, not just this year, but for years to come. Before we get into all of that, please take a second to hit that subscribe button. Also, I want you guys to leave your comments. Who's that most underrated Packer player in history? A guy who has flown under the radar, a guy who hasn't gotten the respect that they necessarily deserved. I'm not looking for your obvious answers like your Leroy Butlers, your Reggie Whites, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. I'm looking for a guy who's the most underrated Packer player in NFL history. I cannot wait to read through your comments and see what you guys have to say. So let's get into it. Why are the Packers proving that they are going to win the division, not just this year, but for years to come? And you can make the argument that championships are won on defense. And yes, that is true. However, this is a very quarterback driven league. This is a very offensive minded league, and you got to be able to put up points. Matt LaFleur has already proven that he has a very good offensive mind. He's built talent around them, guys that have speed, that can create separation. But when you start talking about a quarterback like Jordan Love, a guy who, if he's able to put up the same numbers that he put up last season, this is going to be a guy that we're talking about, again, being a potential future Hall of Fame quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. But you have to be able to protect him up front. And this is why the Packers are going to win the division this year and for years to come. The depth that they have on the offensive line. You got a guy right there in Zach Tom, a guy, a former Demon Deacon out of Wake Forest. This is a guy that can play anywhere on the offensive line, and he has played everywhere on the offensive line. But this is a guy who I think is best suited at center. Yes, you would have to replace Josh Myers, a guy that, I felt really struggled at center last season, a guy that I think is going to be replaced. And I think it's going to be replaced by Zach Tom, because the Packers and Brian Gutekunst was just like, hey, listen, we've got to keep developing depth at the offensive line. And a guy like Jordan Morgan that they took out of Arizona in the first round, this is a guy that I feel is best suited at tackle. Yes, he's got short arms, and it may be like, hey, this guy might be best suited at guard. However, I think his natural fit is left tackle. But then that means you're booting out a guy like Rasheed Walker, and Rasheed Walker is good. I thought he was super good going into last season, and he showed that he was good. Yes, he struggled at times, especially early on, but those last 5 games of the year of the year for him, last 3 games of the season versus Carolina, Minnesota, and Chicago, those were all masterpieces by him. He only allowed really just a couple of I think it 1 sack or something in those games. And then he goes into the playoffs and plays against, Micah Parsons and Joey Bosa. And he handled those guys very well. He kept those guys at bay. So you've got a guy in Rasheed Walker who I feel is incredibly talented. But this is a guy that's proved, of course, in Brian Gutekunst's is system, he can bounce around, he can move. And so this is a guy that I think Rasheed Walker would be, you could move to right tackle. If Zach Tom were to go to center, you move Rasheed Walker to right tackle. I think he would do fine at that position. And then you put your Jordan Morgan at left tackle. So those are your 2 tackles, Morgan and Walker. Gutekunst has already said we're going to be putting our best 5 out there. So if Morgan falls on that list, I think it's going to be best suited for him and for the Packers that he is at left tackle. And then Rasheed Walker has already proved that he can kind of bounce around as well. And I think he would suit just fine at right tackle, which means at left guard, you've got Jenkins, all-pro guard in Jenkins, a guy who's going to assist and help out maybe some of the learning curves and weaknesses of Jordan Morgan at left tackle. And then you've got a guy like Sean Ryan at right guard. This is a guy that should have been in the starting lineup, last season, all season long. This is a guy who's super talented. And then you got rookie Jacob Monk out of Duke, a guy that's going to be pushing him, for some playing time, a guy who's going to be even pushing Sean Ryan to be even a better guard than what he is already. But the Packers are proving that they're going to do it with the depth that they have at the offensive line position. So leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts. Go Pack Go.